If Tokyo Revengers was a toilet and not an anime, I would probably refuse to use it. I would just shit my pants and walk around smelling like poo and piss, and when I would sit down, poo would smear against my butt cheeks and probably crawl up my back, and I'd be okay with it. Lame-ass Takamichi is the worst main character ever. He doesn't get stronger, he just cries and gets his way. The power of friendship is strong with this one, like stronger than any other protagonist ever. The characters in this show are stupid and most of them lack depth. Oh, I changed the past. Oh, it's all good now. Oh, it's not all good now. Wash, rinse, repeat. This show. Is what I said when I rage quit Tokyo Revengers at episode 12. But then I went back and I watched the series and it's not that bad. I mean, it's bad, but it's not bad enough for me to make a 20-minute video roasting it. Which is what I did. I'd rather die to be disingenuous to you guys, so as a result, there's no video. I'm sorry. Is what I said. But then I thought, what if I could go back in time and stop myself from making this video? I could save all the time I wasted making it, and I could get my point across to you guys the right way. The only question is, how the hell do I do that? Let's see, I don't have Reading Steiner or a flip phone. I don't know what the f I need to use Revival, but I haven't seen any blue butterflies anywhere. I could see if I have Return by Death, but that's too risky. I know, I'll just shake somebody's hand like Takamichi. Shake my hand.
Why?
So I need you to shake my hand so I can go back in time and stop myself from making a YouTube video, so I'll still be on schedule.
What? That doesn't make any sense. How is shaking your hand going to send you back in time?
I didn't make the rules, man. Come on.
I know. Is this the plot to some shitty anime that you've been watching? Because that's a pretty dumb way to go back in time.
Okay, shit anime, yes. Dumb way to go back in time, yes. But if you've seen the other methods, this is the easiest one. So, hit me. You know you want to.
Okay, but you'll have to let me know if it works.
Okay, people, time travel anime. Why do I love it? Why do I hate it? What can we learn by looking at some of the most popular ones in rotation? First off, we definitely need a criteria on what separates the good from the bad. I found some common tropes throughout both, so why don't we break it down? Before we do that, let's clarify. I'm looking at anime where time travel is a huge part of the plot. Yes, there might be other genres present, but the premise must be based on a time travel ability or some kind of event. I think I did a good job of keeping this pretty spoiler-free, but there might be something here and there, so just warning you. What makes a bad time travel anime? Simpy romance, with little to no development. Dude ends up liking the girl and will save her at all costs with little to no reason why. Weak as protagonist, who whines and cries his way to victory all while not changing at all. Weak protagonists can be an inspiration and cool if done the right way, but these guys don't improve, don't get stronger, and the result is sheer cringe. Buckle up and get the cry count going. You're gonna need it. A cool supporting cast that lacks depth. There are some really cool designs and likable characters to help the weak protagonist. The problem is, they are either not flushed out or their stories are difficult to follow and make even less sense when combined with the overall narrative. Weak antagonists and or flimsy objectives. Who is the villain and why are they evil? Well, you either have to wait an eternity for those answers or for the next season. You don't necessarily need a well-developed villain, but you do need an objective that doesn't turn out to be repetitive and predictable. I think that makes pretty good sense, right? Now let's take a closer look at the anime I love to hate. Takamachi Hinagaki learns about the death of an ex-girlfriend, Hinata Tachibana, and goes back in time to save her. Yes, this man is 26 years old and hasn't seen her since middle school, but this was his only girlfriend, so I guess this makes sense? Simp! The anime is basically Takamichi trying to save Hinata and change his bleak, depressing future. This anime is frustrating beyond belief, but it's not all bad. There are a lot of cool characters and designs. Draken, Mikey, and Aku, and pretty much all the younger versions of the Meiji gang look really cool. Like, this is probably my favorite part of the show. When gang members were introduced, I was in awe and hoped that a cool backstory would follow. Most of the time this did not happen, and the times we did get a backstory, I realized these characters were stupid as f***. So let's check the boxes I listed for bad time travel anime. Got a problem? Take your revenge against me in the comments below. Simpy romance. Check. And the reason is because I never felt like I knew why Takamichi liked Hinata. We just kind of start the story off and he isn't even in contact with her. Then we flash back 12 years into the past and they are together. This man is holding on to a middle school girlfriend like they were engaged or married. It seems like Takamichi is just kind of depressed about the situation of his current life and this leads him to cling on to what he had in the past. Other than that, we have the standard jealousy gags, and look here, she even fights his battles for him. This is really typical shonen love. No nuance. A weak as protagonist. Check. I'm not sure if I have seen a character cry as much as Takamichi in Tokyo Revengers, and this wouldn't really be a problem if he grew or changed in some way, but he really doesn't in season 1. He doesn't get stronger, he doesn't express himself to Hinata even though he knows his future is dull without her. He just keeps crying, getting his way. Everybody knows how Naruto wants to become Hokage, right? What if he didn't learn Rasengan or summoning jutsus and just cried his way up the ranks? Yeah, that's literally Takamichi in Tokyo Revengers. And this is only possible because of his time travel ability, which allows him to stop major events from happening. I hate this character. His ability is a crutch and the character is nothing without it. Cool supporting cast that lacks depth. Check. The side characters in Tokyo Revengers are strong and vibrant, but I'm not really sure why. Like I said earlier, they look cool and are designed well, so when they are on screen you're excited to know more about them. But there isn't much to know about them outside of maybe Draken and Mikey. Example, look at this guy. Why does this guy do this thing? Cause he do it. He cuckoo. Make sense? No. Weak antagonist or flimsy objective. Check. The main antagonist is pretty much non-existent in season 1. I guess I won't fault this too much since it seems like Teita Kisaki's role and this will all be elaborated on in season 2 or maybe further seasons. It's just really annoying to know that all this string pulling is going on but with little to no clear explanation. Moving on to the plot, which is basically the simple cliched formula of go back in time to stop A from happening so B doesn't happen in the future. Oh wait, we stopped A, but B still happened in a different way or we're still in a bad situation. Gotta go back again. I really hope season 2 isn't like this because it's just a bland way to do time travel. I could go further and talk about the flimsy plot developments, but I think you get the point. Plus I got 3 more anime to go. Moving on. ReZero, starting life in another world. I cannot believe I watched 2 seasons of this shit. Subaru is summoned to another world and immediately starts simping. I mean, he dies a couple times after attempting to save the half-elf Amelia and realizes he can go back in time to a certain point after he dies. He names his ability Returned by Simping. Returned by Death, and uses this power to simp. He uses this power to help Amelia and other allies he meets along the way.
People who don't know us probably think they're looking at a young married couple and their kid, huh? Is that embarrassing or what?
At best, I can't really see you as anything more than her older brother.
This show doesn't know what it wants to be. At times it feels like a battle shonen with surprisingly well animated fight scenes and pretty intense gore. At times it feels like a harem with multiple characters falling for this weak bird-chested simp Subaru. At times it feels like a isekai, but you really forget that Subaru is in another world because he doesn't seem to give a f***. At times it feels like a romance. I don't mind blending genres, but this show would have benefited from a more clear objective. So with that being said, let's get on with the bad criteria. This is no surprise here. Simpy romance. Check, check, check. Like 3 checks there. Subaru and Amelia's relationship starts off pretty shallow, and it again seems like dumb love. Amelia saves Subaru from bullies in the alley in episode 1, and Subaru becomes obsessed immediately with her. There really is no gradual progression here. Subaru's dropped into a new world and he's not thinking about his mom, his dad, his family, his friends. He's thinking about this new chick that he just met and that he must save her at all costs. Anyway, Subaru and Amelia's relationship becomes more developed over time, but quite often it seems one-sided, forced, and cringy in a really bad way. Amelia's all like,
I told you! I don't understand!
And Subaru's like,
When I first came to this world, you were the one who saved me!
That's really the basis of their relationship. I am not exaggerating at all. That is for sure season 1 and probably into season 2. Yeah. I cannot believe I watched 2 seasons of this shit. Amelia and Subaru's relationship is a hell of a lot better than Takamichi and Hinata's though. But it's still really, really bad. A weak as protagonist. Big check.
Extend your tongue and lick my foot.
Fine, I'll do it.
Now you gotta be kidding me, right? He's not actually going to do this. Look at her, she's thinking the same thing. Why would, come on, man. Subaru, you're better than this. Aren't you? Don't do it. Ah, God.
I guess you really are. Just an insignificant—
Subaru Natsuki. Much like Revengers, we have no idea why he has this power and have not found out yet. Correction, we do have an idea. He is possessed by the Witch of Envy. Why? We don't know. Who the hell is that? We don't know. Yeah, so not much of an explanation after 2 freaking seasons. But this ability is god tier and is probably the best out of all 4 anime we're looking at. And it even rivals Bill Murray's top tier ability in Groundhog Day.
I'm sorry? What was that again?
I'm a god.
And that's a top tier movie as well. Subaru is significantly weaker than all his friends, yet due to his ability to relive the same events over and over again, he gains favor amongst most of the people he encounters. Other than that, this is the only thing the character can do. F***ing whack. And this isn't a show where characters do shit like this. His ability is a crutch and the character is nothing without— wait, didn't I just say that for the other guy? Wait, let's see what else I have. He cries a lot, he doesn't get stronger, and he gets his ass kicked multiple times. Yeah, I guess this is because they're basically the same character. Subaru really is Takemichi. If there was a plagiarism bot, I'm sure somebody would be in some serious trouble. I don't care who. But at least Subaru has the balls to express himself to the girl he loves. Unlike this shithead over here. Cool supporting cast that lacks depth. Check. I would say that ReZero does have a lot of interesting characters. Rem, Rom, Beatrice, Wilhelm, Cruz Karstein were some standouts for me, but the backstories for these and a lot of the side characters were either vague or confusing and hard to follow. And this is because ReZero lacks proper world building. We are thrown into a world much like Subaru is, and very little is explained about species, culture, or anything that would help the audience understand the cast better. Weak antagonists and or flimsy objectives. Check. The plot for ReZero, much like Tokyo Revengers, is repetitive and predictable. I will explain the plot for ReZero seasons 1 and 2. Subaru dies and gets stuck in a time loop trying to change the future. He dies a bunch of times, cries, and loses hope. Then something gives him inspiration, causing him to analyze his previous attempts, which results in a better plan and outcome. He moves on and does it all again. I'd say the most enjoyable thing about all this is watching him get murked in all these different kinds of ways. There's got to be a compilation of this, right? If there is, I'm going to put it in right now. Now, I don't like these time travel animes, but what are they missing? One is pretty obvious, a protagonist that improves. I don't care if he's weak, I don't care if he's strong, but he's got to get better at something. 2, I think adding like a martial arts element to Tokyo Adventures or a more in-depth magic system in ReZero would improve both shows and help the protagonists out. Takemichi and Subaru would then have a clear way to improve that doesn't involve their crutch of an ability. But wouldn't that be more cliche and tropey? Yes, but these shows are already tropey messes that repeat the same plot points over and over again. So does it really matter? What makes a good time travel anime?
The water. Bring me wine.
Criteria: developed romance and or in-depth character relations. Time travel doesn't always have to have a romantic element, but it's refreshing to see a character not motivated by dumb love, because relationships that develop from annoyance and awkward situations are more realistic. These anime succeed in character development, nuance, and dialogue. A strong protagonist. This is an important one. The main characters of time travel anime are often forced to repeat the same events more than once, which obviously leads to self-doubt and sentimental moments. But in the good stuff, this does not prevent our hero from being savvy enough to solve the issue and evolve. You can get rid of that cry count now, and the cringe. A clear objective that changes, that's not predictable or formulaic. The audience knows the villain or the force of evil, or at least they think they do. We are kept on our toes when objectives are cleared, meaning expectations are subverted well enough. The story structure doesn't repeat itself when a goal is reached. Lastly, we have thoughtful plot elements centered on a well-explained time travel ability. Good time travel explains the rules and follows them accordingly. Now, I'm not saying execution of these boundaries is always flawless, but they are at least followed. The audience understands the ability and how it works, and the characters do as well. I think that's pretty fair. Moving on to Erased, aka Bakudaki ga Inamachi, aka Lock the fucking door. 29-year-old Satoru Fujinuma was born with the ability Revival, allowing him to go back in time and change life-threatening events for himself and the people around him. Satoru's mom is murdered after investigating a person of interest. This triggers his ability and he is launched 18 years into the past to try and find the murderer and change the future. This is how the story starts. Actually, no. We start off with this banging ass opening theme, lighting up your eardrums like the 4th of July. Just listen to this shit. Erased is a solid time travel mystery and really only suffers from its rushed conclusion. I know the manga is longer and extends the story out, so maybe the conclusion is better in the manga, but who knows, maybe we'll see a manga versus anime in a future video. Check out my manga versus anime series if you're new to the channel. It's my bread and butter and it's pretty good if I do say so myself. Anyway, Satoru is a much stronger character than Takamichi and Mr. Birdchest. Although he is plagued with his own insecurities, we see no whining throughout the story. I'd say this made the series more digestible, however it felt like Erased was more mystery than time travel. I wouldn't say that this hurts it too much, but it clearly lacks the time travel exploration element.
I don't know what that means, man. Come on.
You know how you have those scenes where there's like a chalkboard or something and they're writing stuff about time travel and it's like this whole exposition dump? That doesn't happen in this anime. Instead, Erased focuses on the psychological side of reliving one's childhood. Trauma, self-doubt, regret, and change underline the thematic backdrop. It's surprisingly deep and good, meaning let's whip out the good menu. Developed romance and or in-depth character relations. Check. Now we don't really have a romance here, which is kind of refreshing, even though it seems like there are some brewing. Satoru isn't going back for the girl, he's going back for his mother, himself, to stop the murderer, and really because he has to. Yet we can tell he cares about his peers deeply, and this is conveyed so often throughout Erased. Erased is more about bonds and relationships rather than individual characters and romance. But Kinya could be a main character in his own anime. Maybe he was in Death Note and I missed him. A strong protagonist. Check. Satoru is a very complex character and that's why I believe him to be a strong protagonist.
I'm scared. Scared to dig too deep into myself.
In the past, he's able to remember the doubt he carried with him as a child, and he knows he needs to reach out and punch it in the face in order to change the future, and he enthusiastically sets out to do just that. However, in the present, he is calm and measured and perhaps jaded, depressed, and closed off to the world. It's these emotions and his regret that is holding him back from achieving his dream of becoming a manga artist. So he starts as a broken character that is in flux, but he doesn't stay there. Let's compare. What are Takamichi's goals at the start of Avengers? None. He's not in flux, he's just a nothing. Now let's look at Subaru. He doesn't have any either, and his past is barely touched on. Spoiler alert, it's not that much different from Takamichi. I think we all know starting from nothing isn't a problem, it's doable. But what the hell is the point of it if the character doesn't change? Satoru realizes his weaknesses, tries to change and fight against them, fails, then allows his friends to help. All this leads to, you guessed it, improvement. Yes, character development is a wonderful thing when it's done right. I also like the fact that Satoru has had this ability his whole life and he is clearly used to it, never getting rattled by any situation and being aware that he can change things. You hear that, Subaru? You can change it, you don't have to cry all the time. A clear objective that changes, that's not predictable or formulaic. Check. Satoru's objective is clear, catch the murderer and everyone is saved. Find clues in the past and the future to prevent occurrences from happening. But we don't have a wash, rinse, repeat cycle here. Satoru fails, gets second chances, and things still end up kind of fucked up depending on your perspective. This anime has great twists, but again a crappy ending that differs from the manga. All this is done in 12 episodes. Perhaps the short length made the series less formulaic. Thoughtful plot elements centered on a well-explained time travel ability. Partial check.
I have a name for what happens to me. Revival.
Satoru's ability is kind of a mystery. We don't know why he is sent back to prevent a life-threatening event, but he is. Does this sound kind of like Subaru? Well, actually their names are kind of similar. Unlike Subaru, he often has to figure out what the tragedy is since he doesn't actually experience it. It's just a feeling he gets that something is off, and he relates it to deja vu. Bottom line is the ability is pretty vague and there are times when it doesn't make sense. I just give episode 5 Getaway as an example. I'm not going to put any spoilers in this. But I would say the plot is still very thoughtful. Also, the ability is barely used, so you just kind of accept that Satoru has it and move on. And we save the best for last. Steins Gate, aka the Holy Grail, aka not Steins Gate Zero. We don't talk about that on this channel. Self-proclaimed mad scientist Rentaro Okabe attends a lecture on time travel. He finds Mikase Kurusu dead in a room afterwards. Okabe sends a message about the death to his good friend and lab partner Daru, and afterwards, Kurusu is alive. How? Well, the message went back in time, of course. How? And why is Okabe the only one that remembers the original timeline? Well, watch the damn show. I don't know, it involves a flip phone, an accident with a microwave, a banana, an old-ass computer, deja vu, and a lot of references to time travel media. Sounds good? It is, and it hits all the good tropes out of the park. Developed romance and in-depth character relations, check. Remember when I said relationships that start from awkward situations and annoyance are more realistic? I was talking about Okabe and Kurisu. They hate and don't understand each other from the jump, but as the story progresses, they begin to admire and respect one another, both intellectually and emotionally. It's a mutual, gradual crescendo, and coming from a guy that doesn't care much for romance, it's satisfying. I said it, judge me. Romance aside, Steins Gate's characters interact with each other like real people with real problems. Just look at Daru's uncanny knack to find sexual innuendos in any conversation. It's a true talent.
That's it. A curved black hole is too tight to let big stuff through.
Maybe it just needs a little, practice.
Will you knock it off?
All the characters have motivations and the story takes its time to explain them. Like off the top of my head, I can't think of one character that doesn't. An example of this is how some of the characters end up sending messages into the past that change the future. Each change leads to an in-depth revelation about each character. Now see, that's good storytelling. You're developing characters and you're also moving the plot along. A strong protagonist. Check. Rentaro Okabe.
Ho-in Kyoma.
Okay, Ho-in Kyoma isn't a regretful loser or a simpy boob who doesn't deeply question his reality. He isn't afraid to defend his quirky ideals or look like an exaggerated fool when defending them. I guess Subaru's kinda like that, but without the balls or intelligence to back it up. Anyways, Okabe holds himself and his pursuits in very high regard, and that is why when his world is flipped, it is jarring and exciting. I think his strength shows even more when his independent struggle comes to an end and he decides to rely on his friends. Much like my boy Sotoro did towards the end of Erased. I'll say it again, it's okay for a character to break down and question their motives and be weak, but it's lame when this occurs every time adversity does, and when that character has faced the same situation multiple times. When Okabe is faced with death, he does not whimper or bitch out. He actively looks for a solution over and over again, until the point where he becomes numb. The audience feels this numbness with him because it's completely out of character and concerning. He notices, his friends notice, and we do as well. A clear objective that changes, that's not predictable or formulaic. Check. Okabe's objective is clear. He wants to prove time travel is possible and will go to extreme lengths to do so. He opens Pandora's box because of his own ambition, and we see the chaos nearly consume him. And it's this chaos that leads him to what really matters. So we start off with a clear objective, but we certainly do not end there. Shit gets complicated, exciting, and even a little frightening. But it's a true ride that keeps you guessing on what will and has happened. Thoughtful plot elements centered on a well-explained time travel ability. Check. I'm definitely watching a time travel anime. Time travel is what makes the series move, and the audience is given detailed explanations about theory and application. Steins Gate is smart, and when watching at times it feels like you're in a room with a bunch of scientists who are whimsically bouncing ideas off each other. But don't worry, the explanations are detailed and thorough. You get everything from black hole time travel and chaos theory to ion crafts and world lines. Time travel isn't just some haphazard ability with zero explanation. It's slow burn to perfection. In episode 10, we even get an idea of when Okabe might have gotten his ability, reading Steiner, which allows him to remember previous timelines. Ultimately, Steins Gate is impressive because it never fails to frame the magnitude of time travel. This is where the others fail. Okabe slowly realizes how dangerous and frightening having the power to change everything can be, and there are times when it stops him in his tracks. You could say that this is similar to Revenge's ReZero and Erase because the main character's abilities end up causing him great misery. But Steins Gate differs in that Okabe willingly pursued time travel, so he has to deal with the consequences of his actions. So we have another added layer of depth here. L. Psi Congru. Now, there are also really good time travel anime movies like The Girl Who Leapt Through Time and Your Name. But if we're talking about shows, Steins Gate proves that time travel anime can be executed with grace. And to be quite honest, it should be considered the top dog in the genre. But what do I know? You should go watch it, if you haven't already. Oh wait, what's that? You're currently watching Tokyo Revengers Season 2? Okay, come here. I got something for you. You motherfucker! I'm just kidding, guys. I probably will watch Tokyo Revengers Season 2. I mean, it could only get better, right? But I'm done with ReZero. I give that show 2 seasons already. Anyways, subscribe, like, and talk that sweet Hey, it worked.
Really?
Yeah, video's up.
Okay, I need to watch this anime. What did you say it was called?
Well, actually, you don't want to watch that anime. That one's bad. I got a good one for you. Steins. Pretty good.
Okay, how does he time travel?
Essentially, he sends messages back to the past using a flip phone.
Oh, that's way cooler. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna give that a try right now.
Oh, wait a second. When did you get a flip phone? Wait. Hold on. What are you gonna send, man? Hey, wait.
Oh, wow. That actually worked? He didn't even thank you guys for watching. Well, I'm not gonna do it.
Thank you so much for watching my video.